There we go. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming along today in what is a really exciting time for esports. This weekend in London, in the Copper Box in London, is the RLCS, the Rocket League Championships. Next month, in Birmingham, at the International Arena there, as part of the Commonwealth Esports Championship, we have the inaugural Commonwealth Esports Championship, a phenomenal event. Without taking too much of my colleague Dave's talk this afternoon, the announcement for the Commonwealth Games Esports Championship was the largest viewed announcement in Commonwealth Federation history. The interest around esports is huge. Do you want to click on to the next one? And let's not forget the most important thing for us, the live grand finals here this weekend, the student championships, the peak of our young people's year in terms of their competitive side of esports, which teams have worked incredibly hard. You have worked incredibly hard, those staff with them, across the course of the year. So the pinnacle for them to be able to represent their schools, represent their colleges this weekend is huge, is the Wembley moment or the Twickenham moment, but for esports for these young people. So we really look forward to that this weekend. What I want to do with you this morning is acknowledge all the work and to really say thank you. Thank you to you, thank you to colleagues who've enabled this all to happen. And to acknowledge how big the esports industry is growing, where it's going, the opportunities that exist for our young people, both from a career-wise and competitively as well. But for all this, I'd like to take us back a little bit and really acknowledge where we've come from, because 5 years ago, this didn't exist. 5 years ago, competitive esports, academic esports in schools and colleges throughout the UK did not exist. We've come a hell of a long way, okay? And we're really, really proud of the work that we have done collectively. And when I say we couldn't have done this without the teachers. We couldn't have done this without your support, without your hard work, without your effort. As a teacher myself of 18 years experience, we know that activities like this can't take place in schools without the dedication, the commitment from you, from staff, from teachers to make this happen. So it's a big thank you from all of us here at British Esports for the work that you do and you continue to do to enable young people to participate, to enable them to engage, to enable them to enjoy, to enable them to learn. So we started off 2017, 2018 with a pilot with 8 FE colleges, 4 secondary schools and 4 pupil referral units. We believed that there was going to be some impact. We believed there was going to be engagement, but we didn't really recognize, we didn't really realize just how big that engagement would be. And Alice is going to talk a little bit more in a minute about where we've come from and actually put some numbers to that. We're hugely, hugely proud of that movement, where we've come from and where we're going to go. From memory, I've been a senior leader in schools. I've stepped away from that because I got fed up of Ofsted. But a phrase that always sticks with me is what got us here won't get us there. Or do what you've always done, get what you've always got. And there are still challenges we face. Can you move on to the next one? There are still challenges we face. And Chester and I went to an AOC conference 2017, 2018, and talked to a room full of PE teachers and directors of sport. And Chester won't mind me saying this, he got absolutely hammered by a room full of PE teachers, directors of sport, because they maybe weren't ready at that point to accept that actually esports isn't a sport, and we know it's not a sport, and we're not interested in the fact it's not a sport. It's a competitive activity, it's a team-based activity. Over the last couple of years, obviously, lockdown has been horrible, horrendous for many, many people, loads of us all around the world. However, for esports, it's almost been the perfect storm. The level of acceptance or allowing us to challenge misconceptions and preconceptions around esports. Okay, and what we saw through lockdown and through working with the AOC and developing the FIFA championships and the NBA 2K championships, the directors of sport and the PE teachers were actually coming around to this, and I'm looking at Callum. Callum will talk more about this later. But the PE teachers and directors of sport were coming round to this and realizing, hang on a minute here, This is a team-based activity. It's a competitive activity. Look at the communication skills. People recognized through lockdown that esports and gaming allowed young people to keep communicating with each other and keep socializing with each other, which was obviously one of the critical things through lockdown that we couldn't do. So the misconceptions, the preconceptions are being challenged, have been challenged. We still have a lot of work to do, okay? And that goes back to what got us here won't get us there. It's our responsibility to be preparing young people for their lives of the future, for the careers of the future, for their lives in a digital-based society. We know that esports can be the vehicle with which to do that. Once we can get, well, I'm sort of preaching to the converted here, I guess, aren't I? You wouldn't be here if you went into this stuff and you didn't understand this. But what we need to do, and a lot of what our time at British Esports is spent doing, is talking to senior leaders, talking to people working with young people, to open their eyes to what esports actually is and the opportunities it provides. Once we can get those people past the point of looking at it as being just video gaming, and for them to start understanding the opportunities that it provides to develop skills in young people, to develop career-ready skills, future-ready skills, through different pathways, then that's when we're getting the light bulb moments. That's when we're getting the engagement of real influencers within education and within the wider space of working with young people. There are still the challenges, there are still our big responsibilities. Safeguarding and online safety is critical, and these are things that we need to continue to work on and continue to develop. There's so much more we could be doing and we should be doing in this space. We're better than we were, we're not as good as we could be in order to keep young people safe and to develop the systems and processes within the esports and gaming industry to keep young people safe online. We need to keep pushing a balanced, healthy lifestyle. I think it's something that we do quite well at the moment, but it's something that we always need to be talking about. That this isn't something that is done in isolation, that healthy, balanced diets and taking physical exercise should still be part of what we do. Obviously, we then want to continue to support and encourage as many young people as possible to take advantage of these opportunities that they have for them. So there are huge opportunities still available or still to come. Huge development that we can do together, but this really is to acknowledge how far we've come and where we can still go. Alice will now tell you some figures, some numbers of where we've come from and what we hope to do moving forward.
Thank you, Tom. So I just want to talk a little bit more about the process that we've been through. Many of you will know already from either taking part in the Student Champs or who've known British Esports since its inception. I've been very fortunate enough to work with Tom since way back in 2018 as a volunteer. So I've seen the Student Champs grow from that pilot all the way through to where we are now. So way back when we had our first 2019 Grand Finals, we had just a small stage time at Insomnia Gaming Festival, which was a fantastic experience for the students. However, since then, it's grown to not only just having small stage time, but we had our own event here at Confetti last year. We had fantastic viewers on Twitch, and obviously it was COVID restricted, but we did have a sellout Eventbrite attendance as well. So it shows how much our community has grown since, like Tom mentioned, only a couple of schools and colleges to now well over 140 that are involved this year alone. And it's just fantastic to look at the community behind it as well. It's not just the players, it's not those that get up on that stage and play for their school or college. It's, as mentioned, the teachers, it's the staff, it's the coaches, the managers, and even just the student leads that help on like the Discord servers. It's all those wider roles and sort of community that is built behind the Student Champs. As mentioned, some of you, it's kind of cut off a little bit, unfortunately. But if you don't know about Student Champs, I'm sure many of you will do already. We run all age-appropriate team-based titles. So that's Overwatch and Valorant as like FPS, so first-person shooters. And then we've got MOBA, which is multiplayer online battle arena, which is League of Legends, and then Rocket League as well, which is our most popular title, where we had over 140 teams in spring season alone. Is by far our favorite. I think the great thing about competitive esports and just Student Champs in general is the fact that it brings everyone together within a medium that they love, and it also enables the students, as mentioned, to get that experience, if they're not doing the BTEC as an extracurricular, to know what careers are out there for them, what is the esports industry, and have a go at doing that within a setting in education as well. So just looking at some of the numbers, so you can get an idea of just how much the Student Champs has grown throughout the years since that original pilot. As you can see on the maps, we've spread much more across the UK. And I think, especially in the last year, you can see just how much more it has grown. This is partly, yes, due to COVID, providing that more online awareness, I would say. More people seeing, watching things on Twitch as you were stuck inside. And also, esports as it's online anyway. You could be watching it, you could be playing it with your friends, that social interaction, as Tom mentioned. And that's what esports provided the students throughout the last year especially, a way for them still to do that team-based activity and represent their school or college, even if they couldn't, unfortunately, it's back. Nope. Take part in their traditional sports team. Sorry, that sidetracked me there a little bit. And as you can see, there's over 40% average growth. We've had over 40% average growth year on year, which is just fantastic numbers, and we're only hoping to grow on that again moving forward. So just this year alone, you can just see how much it is primarily college-based at the moment, Student Champs. However, we're still looking to get more involved with schools and independent as well to ensure that they're getting involved in Student Champs and seeing the possibilities for them. We've got over 30% of the UK colleges involved this year alone, which is fantastic figures. I think this also highlights the importance of the BTEC and how more centres are now seeing that as an opportunity to bring esports into the curriculum, not just as an extracurricular as well. We had over 55% which were approved or running the BTEC this year in Student Champs as well. So players and teams, as schools and college involvement gets bigger, of course, the teams and the players did as well. The most important thing about the players is this is just a number of players, so 7% average year-on-year growth. However, that doesn't highlight all the other roles, as I just mentioned. So there's the managers, the coaches, those who focus on mental and health well-being. Also, there's the stream teams, the production. Again, that's not highlighted in this graph, but those are still roles that are taking part in all these schools and colleges in the Student Champs. So it's really important to note that is a great stat, but it's even greater when you think of the wider community involved. Also for teams as well, it's a massive spike, again, due to more schools and colleges getting involved. However, we've seen more schools and colleges adding further teams. Usually we'd recommend maybe 1 or 2. However, a lot of them are now adding multiple teams, and this just shows how more support the school is getting, or the college is getting, for example, from SLT, from higher up, so they can afford more PCs, they can afford to get involved and have more engagement with more, like a wider demographic of students as well. Many of you might have recognised this infographic. We absolutely love it. It's a fantastic way to show all the transferable skills available for students that get involved in esports, whether that's through the BTEC or if it's through the extracurricular Student Champs. It just shows how many people who aren't aware of esports, what the overlapping is, the wider industries, the transferable skills. So if they're taking part in the Student Champs, it's those team-based communication, leadership, learning how to win and lose, all these like strategic thinking that will then overlap into wider careers, not just purely esports based as well. And this all gets covered as well in the BTEC, which is how the Student Champs runs alongside the modules very nicely, so they can put into practice what they are learning in the BTEC. We also want to highlight, obviously, where we're looking to go as Student Champs. So it's great to see where we've been and what we are currently now, which is fantastic figures, but there's still much more we can do. The format is always going to keep changing. We've always got to listen to feedback from staff, teachers, students, the wider community as well. But we also want to keep pushing ourselves and making sure we are doing the right thing. We're using the best practices. We're learning and taking on board feedback. We're improving. And one of the key ways we want to do that I want to highlight is women in esports. So for those who don't know, Women Esports is our diversity and inclusion initiative at British Esports, and it's primarily a way to make sure that we are trying to do our best to make sure that the esports industry is as inclusive and diverse as possible. And we had a couple of chats with our committee, and the main reason we wanted to get involved in the Student Champs is because it has to be a multi-pronged approach. It can't just be trying to change the pro level, or maybe it's looking at the wider industry as a whole. We need to focus on education, the grassroots side of things as well. So if we do a multi-pronged approach, hopefully those students that are going throughout the Student Champs, they'll know about best practices, they'll be more aware of what the esports industry as a whole should be inclusive. It shouldn't be about trying to split genders. Anyone should be able to take part. And that's why we're looking at trying to include women esports, the initiative, a lot more into student champs moving forward, and hopefully the students taking part can take their code of conduct, their guidelines, and that thought process into them, whether it's university or into a career elsewhere as well. Also, I know Dave's going to mention this a little bit later on, but regional talent, so the Commonwealth Esports Championships as well. We need to try and build that again from a younger age, so there's a wider pool of talent. There's so many fantastic students to take part in the student champs, so really top level players, and I'm sure they're going to go professional or elsewise in the future. And we need to keep continuing trying to build that now. So if they want to go to the new or the NSC leagues, the university, or if they want to go professional, or if they just want to go into the industry in general, we need to provide that pipeline and make sure we're developing all that regional talent as well, not just in general areas, England alone purely. And I'll hand it back over to Tom to finish off the BTEC.
So our colleagues from Pearson, and I just want to say a big thank you to Pearson. We have a great partnership with them, and certainly the work we're doing with them is world leading. There are no qualifications like we have developed with Pearson around the world. And you'll hear from Laura, you'll hear from others today around the progress of the BTEC. This year, so if, again, rewind, we got permission from the government to establish the establish the BTEC in May 2020, which obviously is incredibly late in the academic cycle to launch a program. That first year, we still had 15 centres and 330 students studying it. This year, we've got 86 centres and 2,300 students studying it. From September, Pearson's sort of hesitant prediction is between 5,500 and 6,000 students and 140 different centres. So again, you can see the growth, you can see the impact that we are having, the interest in this from the young people, how colleges are looking at it as the vehicle, as we've discussed already. So it's with a big thanks to Pearson for this. Do you want to move on to the next slide? It's with a big thanks to Pearson. It's with a thanks to the Association of Colleges for their continuing support and belief in what we're doing. I'd also like to say thank you to Confetti as well. Obviously, Jin has started us off here. We have a very positive relationship and long-standing relationship with Confetti in terms of how we work together. I'd also like to mention, as you would have seen coming in, both the Dell and Alienware brands and also Intel. We are working closely with them to develop a partnership moving forward, which we hope will then end up benefiting schools and colleges, because that is one of the barriers we still face, is the availability of kit, especially in schools that don't necessarily run the creative media type courses that the FE colleges, the games design, the animation, creative media courses. We appreciate that it is a hurdle, it is a barrier, and we will be working with these tech firms to really try and put solutions in place to allow as many people as possible to engage with this through their schools. I'd also like to thank you, if I may, from your students, because without you, they would not have the opportunity to do what they are doing and follow their passions in ways that they get to do with traditional sport, in ways that they get to do in music, in art, in drama. You have recognised the opportunity or the need for this in your schools and colleges. Some of you may not be gamers yourself. I certainly wasn't when I got into this. I could be described, I guess, as a retro gamer from the Super Nintendo and the Mega Drive days, which some of you will recognise. Okay, I didn't get into this because I'm a massive gamer. I got into this because I could see how it would support the young people I work with. I'll leave you with a little story from my current school, which I hope strikes a chord with you, and it really is the reason why I got into this and why I will continue to facilitate these opportunities for young people. So in my school in Bath, we've been lucky enough to work with Lenovo to develop a suite, a creative media suite. And last week I was in there at a lunchtime club, and I walked in and met my colleague who's a maths teacher, who's a lot younger than I am and who is a player who runs it, and looked around, and there are 27 systems in the room. Over 50% of those machines had girls sitting in front of them, which was amazing. They were engaging with Minecraft and engaging with Rocket League. In the far corner, there were two Year 10 lads who don't represent the school in any other activity, not interested in participating in any other activity. Both of their attendances are below 60%. They have massive personal image issues, school refusers, and yet they're gamers. They were both sitting in the corner of that room together, smiling, laughing, having fun. In the other corner of the room, there were two Year 8 lads who were significantly on the autistic spectrum, who in the same class as each other, and I teach them in the same class, they bounce off each other in all the wrong ways. In the room, playing Minecraft, they were together, they were building together, they were having fun together, they were interacting appropriately together through the medium of Minecraft. Now, for me, just in that one lunchtime session, that was like, yeah, this is why I'm doing this. This is why I come and stand on the stage in front of you here today. This is why I am promoting esports. This is why I will continue to promote esports as an incredibly important vehicle through which we can motivate, engage young people, and to promote a range of digital, creative media, STEM-based skills that are going to be so critical for our students moving forward. They have great fun doing it. They enjoy doing it. It makes them smile. It makes them happy. So let's not worry if we can be politically correct about all the skills and stuff they develop, but actually they have fun, they enjoy doing it, and that should be reason alone why we promote this and why we do this in our schools. So thank you very much for all you have done. Thank you for what you will continue to do. Thank you for the work you will do to promote esports and to facilitate opportunities for our young people. Enjoy the rest of the day. Please do come and have a chat if you need to whenever we're around. Thank you very much.